Aloha, my name is Dr. Trisha Kehau Watson. I am from Honolulu, Hawaii. I am the session chair for session number 10, which dealt with Indigenous knowledges in Hawaii and the Pacific. And my affiliation is I am the former Native Hawaiian seat for the Hawaiian Islands Biocultural National Marine Sanctuary. I am the vice chair of its current archipelago-wide cultural working group, and I am also a member of the MPA FACA Cultural Heritage Working Group.
So why did you choose to organize your session, and what did you hope to get out of it?
In addition to being asked by Hans, so that was honestly the motivation, but also I've had the tremendous privilege over the last couple of years of working within the sanctuary system and just really gaining a tremendous appreciation for how they have evolved their approach to maritime heritage. And I really think there's been such a tremendous effort to reach out to Indigenous people and local communities and embrace traditional ecological knowledge that I felt it was really critical to sort of reciprocate that effort and create a panel that really looked at the varied ways that traditional ecological knowledge enriches and enhances maritime archaeology and just even archaeological efforts across Hawaii and the Pacific.
And over, say, the next 10 years or so, what directions do you hope to see this area going in?
Well, I'd like to see really three things. I'd like to see a growth for the use of traditional ecological knowledge and it to become just standard, not something that people sort of have to go out of their way to do, but something that just becomes part of every research design, every approach to a project, and that just really people accept and understand the importance of it and gain respect for it. I'd also like to see better partnerships across the Pacific. I think that was really one of the most wonderful things about this conference. We saw Hawaii as this relationship with the U.S. that often can pigeonhole us, and people sometimes forget that we really are an amazing place with a lot of wonderful research happening. And this conference allowed for really more people throughout the Pacific, especially from small island developing states, these really sort of rural and remote areas that don't necessarily have the opportunity to work with us in Hawaii as often as we would like, to bring them together. So I really want to see those Pacific-wide partnerships develop. And then the third thing is I really want to see young professionals emerge more in this field. I think we really have, over the last generation, there's been sort of this evolution of thought and consciousness about the need to protect Indigenous knowledges, and we really see some phenomenal talent here and then really across the Pacific and in Hawaii of the sort of young professionals and college students coming up in this field that I think in 10 years' time will hopefully be poised to become the leaders in this field.
Now, what are some of the challenges that you see facing the field?
I think two in particular. One, climate change. I think the fact that we even need to compete with deniers in this day and age is a bit insane, particularly in the Pacific, where the evidence of sea level rise is everywhere. And so I really think in so many ways we're in a rush against time when it comes to that. So I think that's going to be a huge challenge, is to get out there to start preserving or protecting or documenting or do whatever can be done to sort of save the knowledges and the sites, and particularly intangible histories, things that are really, really critical to, I think, solving a lot of our conservation problems. And then the second is really to deal with the capacity issues across the Pacific. I think we are very fortunate here in Hawaii. Aotearoa has the same benefit of having access to large educational institutions and research institutions. Remote islands don't always have that benefit. So I think there is really a need, again, to build relationships and connections across the Pacific so we can utilize educational institutions and research opportunities to build capacity on the ground in those local communities.
And with regards to your session, are there any areas that you felt were underrepresented, be they geographic or thematic or whatever?
No, I think we had the best session in the whole conference. We were very fortunate. So, we had the state chairman of the Department of Land and Natural Resources, so someone who's a practitioner and been a member of the MPA FACA, and is just really an icon in this field and helped to move it forward, and is now the leader of the state agency on it. So we had that. Then we also added to our panel was the superintendent from the Kaulapapa National Park. So we had a federal, leader and a young professional, and then we had Meretui Ratua Latuna Buna Bua Bua. I'm just tired tonight, but Mere, was able to come in from this international perspective from UNESCO and her work with Fiji and the Pacific Heritage Hub. And then we had Kepa Mali, who I call Yoda because he's just so good at what he does, but who works with a large private landowner to do historic preservation. So really it was state, federal, international, and private, which is really all the people who are going to have to come together if we ultimately are to succeed in our goals. So I felt like we had a good representation. We had a good panel.
Any other comments you'd like to make?
No, just more that I'd like to see more of these. I mean, I think it was really extraordinary that Hans and the planning committee were able to secure the funds to get a really broad spectrum of delegates here. I love seeing people from Asia and the Pacific get to be in the same room with the people from DC, and I think that is really critical because I think the MPA FACA and the NOAA Office of National Marine Sanctuaries has really come a long way. And I think if we can utilize the efforts there, a number of the Cultural Heritage Working Group members were here and participated to sort of collaborate with the Pacific and Asia to identify gaps in the field and then fill them and meet them such that everybody benefits. I think that's a wonderful thing. So I'm just very, very grateful to have been a part of this.
Thank you so much.
Screw it.